welcome once again to the Icons. I'm your host, Sports Professor Rick Horrow. Well, this month, spring is in the air, and that means baseball is right around the corner. It's a perfect time to talk to the president and CEO of the Arizona Diamondbacks, Derrick Hall. Let's get started by going inside the Icon. Derrick Hall was born in Los Angeles in 1969, and his father Larry worked in the newspaper industry, meaning Hall moved across the United States during his childhood. Hall attended Arizona State on a speech and debate scholarship, receiving a bachelor's degree in broadcasting and journalism. He earned his master's in sports administration from Ohio University. Hall spent parts of 12 seasons in the Dodgers organization before joining the Diamondbacks in 2005 as a senior vice president of communications. He was elevated to president the following year and added CEO to his title in 2009. He's now the fourth longest tenured CEO in Major League Baseball and has led the organization to 3 postseason appearances. Hall sits on MLB's International Committee and Diversity and Inclusion Committee. He also serves or is associated with 25 philanthropic boards. Hall's been married to his wife Amy since 1992, and they're parents of 3 children. He was diagnosed with prostate cancer in 2011, and Hall is now cancer-free and a tireless supporter of cancer-fighting organizations. When did you get a feeling that you were going to have some career in sports or baseball, certainly?
I was really baseball focused. I grew up a big fan of the game. My father loved the game, played the game through college, and he taught me everything about the game. We were big fans, and growing up in Southern California, it was Dodgers, it was Angels. I was a big Dodger fan, went to as many games as I could. And my father, he inspired me so much, to not only love the game, but to aspire to be in the game. And I had to find a way to do it. And fortunately, it happened, and I've had just a wonderful career. And you always hear, if you love what you're doing, you'll never work a day in your life. I feel that way. It's pinched me. It's been great.
Well, but the idea of how you get there, it's a dedicated road, but it doesn't automatically follow from point A to point B. You graduate ASU in 91, then you go to that revered master's program at Ohio with Kaler. But then you get an internship at the Dodgers in Vero Beach. How did that happen?
Well, they were in my class at Ohio University, so there were 25. But in the summer class that I was a part of, 18 individuals wanted to be in baseball. So everyone wanted that one internship we had that was with the Dodgers. And remember, I grew up Dodger fan, wanted to work for the Dodgers, and I had to get that internship. So we got very competitive. Everyone applied for it, interviewed for it, and fortunately they chose me. Went out to Vero Beach, things worked out well, and they ended up making it full-time. So I stayed there with the Vero Beach Dodgers and also worked spring training for the LA Dodgers. Got to know Peter O'Malley, our owner, very well, and Fred Clare, who was general manager at the time, and they suggested that I come west, and became a part of the management team at a very young age. I was very lucky. And I'll never forget my father, who worked in the newspaper business and was a very successful executive. He had told me, he says, you're going to be a director before you're 25. And I said, oh, you're crazy. And it happened. And he said, you're going to be a vice president before you're 30. I said, no way, it's not going to happen. It happened. He said, you're going to be a president before you're 40. And I said, Dad, that one you're going to swing and miss on. And it happened. And I was just really fortunate. A lot of luck played a part of it, but hard work, great relationships, and a passion for what I do.
Yeah, hard luck, great relationships, but not hard luck. A lot of luck is wrong. We're going to talk about this a little later, but maybe it's time to comment about it now. Your circle of success that you talk about, it's in the building, it's everywhere. Fan experience, community, culture, financial efficiency, and performance. That's not just a mantra for the Diamondbacks brand. It almost seems like the way you live your life.
Well, that's nice to say. Yeah, I hope so. And everybody here lives their life that way too. But those are the main areas of focus. If we're not focused on those 5 areas, or at least 1 or 2 at a time, we're not doing our jobs. And it's also a big part of who we are and a big part of our culture to focus on our values. And so we feel like we're always building. We're building a fan base. We're building a championship team, we hope. We're building a community, through our community efforts. We're building corporate partnerships, relationships. We're always building. So BUILD is the acronym now for our values, and it's belonging, it's unified, it's integrity, it's longevity, and it's development. And if you really take care of the people that work for you, we call them our team players, that culture will eat strategy for lunch, I believe. And so we are building them as well.
Well, but also you understand how important it is for people who work in your orbit and for fans who come to the game, the solid training in the background from your dad as well. So that's very important.
100%, yeah, and I'll never forget my dad. He said, my advice for you in business is know everybody's name. I want you to know the person that is turning the hot dogs and the person that is sweeping the floors. You need to know everybody's name. And I feel like everyone here within our walls and under this roof does the same thing. We all know everyone's name. We care about everybody. There's no hierarchy. There's no closed door. We are no silos. It's fabulous. It's so important that you can win. Now, we won very early, and so I think our fans got a little bit spoiled, and it's not easy, but they thought at the time, boy, this is simple. And there was the first major championship in Phoenix. So we need to get back there.
So 05, in the Diamondbacks community, again, SVP of Communications, but then the president in 06 and the CEO in 09. How did that evolve?
Well, coming over here, I had a feeling that there was opportunity, and I didn't know what that would be, but really just getting back into this market because I decided to leave the Dodgers. My wife and I met at Arizona State University. She grew up in Tucson. This is home. So I knew I wanted to get back to this market. Anytime I was here with the Dodgers and I'd sit in the stands, I'd say, golly, I want to be here. How do I get here? And so when I had the opportunity to come in and meet with ownership and they said, we believe this is where you should be, I agreed with that. So I was happy to come over here. And at the time when I did become president, we had a CEO. He moved on, and fortunately ownership gave me that promotion as well.
And are you still the fourth longest tenured CEO in baseball?
Correct, yes.
What's the key to the survival?
Again, luck, right, and relationships, I think, but taking care of your people because they're the ones that take care of you. I don't do all the work, right? They all do, and they're the ones that make me look good, and I hopefully, help them look good. We're in this together, so it's not just my success; it's their success, and we all celebrate it together as well.
Well, let's talk a little bit about the public trust that you. First of all, I assume you believe that you're part of a larger organization that holds this franchise in public trust for the community.
You say it well. That's why you're the professor. You say it right. I mean, we are a community asset. We realize that. We know that we have a social responsibility. When you look at all we do for the community, it's because we believe it's our responsibility and our duty. I mean, for us now to have surpassed $80 million in community giving, and we've only been around 25 years, it's remarkable. But it starts at the top with ownership. They believe in it. Our players believe in it. Our employees believe in it. We understand our responsibility. It's not just open the gates and play games. It's be a huge part of this community, be a big part of employment, be a big part of taxes, be a big part of building downtown or wherever we're at. And it's been a remarkable story to tell.
You started in 92, and then 3 years later, you started as an intern at Dodgers in 92, and then 3 years later, the Diamondbacks are awarded, and then 3 years after that, they build their $130 million stadium. Did you get a sense, and you're an LA guy, but you went to ASU, so did you get a sense of what this place would be like for Major League Baseball? And did you start planning, even though you knew you didn't know, but you weren't sure you were coming back?
I always pictured myself here.
Did you really?
I did, yeah. So, and now it's dwarfed it. You look at, I was at 12 seasons at the Dodgers, and I thought, wow, how am I ever going to be at another place that long? And now I've been 18 seasons here. So to have 30 years, 30 seasons in this game, I pictured myself here, and I pinch myself each and every day that I wake up here. It's a fabulous franchise.
And you're on the shoulders, in many ways, of Joe Garagiola, of Jerry Colangelo. I assume you sought advice from the heroes or those folks.
Great relationships with them. Unfortunately, I serve on committees with both. Jerry and I are both Thunderbirds. We helped put on the Phoenix Open here. He's remarkable. We wouldn't be here if it wasn't for Jerry. The Suns wouldn't be here if it wasn't for Jerry. And then you mentioned Joe Garagiola. Joe Garagiola Sr. and Jr. Joe Garagiola Sr., who's such a character. I miss him each and every day. We were fortunate to have him on the air. On Sundays, he did our telecast, and his son was our first general manager. He's back here working for us and for me. And alongside Joe, I learned a ton from Joe. I mean, to have a seasoned general manager who won a World Series around, not a bad thing.
Let's talk about the World Series in 2001. It's a transient community, just like me in Florida, areas from somewhere else. What did it feel like for the community when you beat the Yankees, you spoiled the plot of what happens in 2001 after coming back? But for Arizona, it's exactly the right thing. Can you describe the value of that win to this community?
Well, it was euphoric, and I think what it did, it really set the future for us because, when you're young, and as you mentioned, everybody is transit. They're coming from Chicago, or they came here for spring training. They watch the Cubs, they watch the Giants, they watch the Dodgers, when they moved here. Now, you've got that next generation, all they remember, these youngsters, all they remember was that winning team and the white pom-poms and beating the Yankees, the mighty Yankees, and they were fans for life. It's so important that you can win. Now, we won very early, and so I think our fans got a little bit spoiled, and it's not easy, but they thought at the time, boy, this is simple. And there was the first major championship in Phoenix. So we need to get back there. We've been to the playoffs since then. We went in 07, we went in 11, we went in 17. We need to get back more frequently. We're in a really tough division, obviously. Everyone knows what the Dodgers are, how strong they are. The Giants are rebuilding and building something powerful. The Padres, arguably as tough as any team in our division right now. So it's always going to be tough. We have to commit to who we really are. And that's a transition for our fans too, because back then it was a higher payroll. We brought all these stars in. We did win, and we were still paying the price for many years. And now we're back to who we really should be. But I think they've embraced that now, and they see the homegrown product, which is much different and a much different model, but they like it. They've embraced it. They love it. They're anticipating success. So we're looking right now and seeing what the options are, but our fans deserve a state-of-the-art, newer stadium. We don't have premium, we don't have luxury. It's all about the fan experience.
Chase Field, 25 years old or so, and just like anybody or anything 25 years old, facilities are the core of a franchise existence or business existence. It's your house. It's the foundation. It's a source of comfort for the fans. So talk a little bit about that aspect and your notion of what a facility should be and could be.
Great question. And again, you don't think of the Diamondbacks or Chase Field as being old because we are so new. Yet we're now the fourth oldest facility in the league. And it's hard to believe, but you think about it. It's Wrigley, it's Dodger Stadium, Coors Field, and us. But 25 years sitting in the desert in that hot sun, and we're going to make it look good. It's like that car that you can paint the outside. You look under the hood and you go, ooh, does this thing even ride? And you can understand that. We did an assessment that we needed to of this stadium, and we needed, at the time, about $400 million of maintenance and some fixes. And so we're starting to address that. And does it make more sense to renovate this place, or does it make more sense to go build new? And so we looked, and we've done our due diligence and kicked the tires. And there's a lot of interested parties, especially out of state, but we have no interest in moving out of state. We are Arizona, and we are Phoenix and Maricopa County. So we're looking right now and seeing what the options are. But our fans deserve a state-of-the-art, newer stadium. We don't have premium. We don't have luxury. It's all about the fan experience. We have great affordability. Of course, we're always going to be safe, secure, clean. But we need to bring some of the amenities that the other cities and ballparks have. We've got to increase our revenues, and that's the best way. And once we do, our owners never put a penny in their pocket. They take it all and put it back into the product on the field or into the stadium.
And whether it's renovation or new, you look at Chase Arena in Golden State and you realize the best practices for tech. You look at Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta and you realize the LEED and the green designation. Truist Ballpark in Atlanta, we know the people that were involved in that. It's retail space as well. Globe Life in Texas, Arlington, the facility safety, and COVID. I assume we're in a good position because you're about cultivating best practices and growing because of that.
That is so true. And we would go around to all of those that you mentioned and more and take what they're doing best and bring it here, hopefully collaborate all of that. But you touched on one in particular, the Battery in Atlanta. That's really the new model. Standalone stadiums, standalone facilities really don't work anymore, and especially in baseball. We're the anchor, right? For us to have more events, live events than any other team, any other sport, and you need it really to be activated 365 days a year. It's got to be retail, it's got to be mixed use. You're talking about hotels, rentals, restaurants, shops. That's what we need. And so whether it's around this ballpark, but taking care of the inside too, or is it a new location with more mixed use? That's what our fans deserve. That's what we need.
So a lot of people don't know this, but in the late 1919, 1918 time, we were recovering from a devastating Spanish flu epidemic, and the city fathers in New York said, what's going to help us recover? Well, let's build infrastructure. What are we going to do? Let's build Yankee Stadium. Let's get into the sports business. And that revitalized economic recovery after that Spanish flu. Now we've got a new Roaring 20s, and people are using infrastructure dollars to help on spectator facilities all over the country, new or renovated. Denver just spending a lot of money to renovate their football stadium. Buffalo, $1.5 billion for a new one. So give me your sense as we enter into the first full year of post-pandemic recovery, how you feel about that whole argument.
Well, I think it's a great one. I think it's very timely and appropriate, and it relates to us. I think it would be a creative way to find more money to either build just the perfect stadium elsewhere or to renovate this place and bring it to where we think it should be today in modern times. You talk about pandemic money, it's out there. So if we could use some of that, because we obviously, like every team, lost, and we're not crying poor, but lost a lot of money due to COVID, we could recover some. Or infrastructure dollars. The days of taxpayer dollars, at least now, are done. The stadiums are not going to be built with taxpayer dollars. Could you do hotel taxes? Sure. Bed taxes, residents are fine with that. But I also believe you could take infrastructure money for the same reason. You're going to create jobs, you're going to create activity, you're going to generate economic, a storm really, which is what we all need. So I think those dollars would be put to good use with not just us, but baseball teams, baseball facilities, all sports facilities, and the surrounding area for mixed use.
And rather than being in the center of the country with nobody wanting to come, you have a perfect storm in an incredible tourist-driven economy where you can use some of those dollars to attract the mega events. You have the NASCAR events twice a year. You have the Final Four coming next year. The Super Bowl is here. You have major events. Plus, the last time you had the All-Star game was over 10 years ago. Mm-hmm. So you have this pent-up demand where it's not just for people who are here, but also the multiplier effect of bringing people in from out of town.
So true. And you touched on the All-Star game, and we had to convince Commissioner Seelig at the time. He kept saying, I think it's too hot in July. I think it's too hot. And we said, no, trust us, it's going to be great. And it was one of the best All-Star games ever, and the fans just loved it, raved about it. We also have the golf tournament we talked about before. We have the WBC, World Baseball Classic. We've been fortunate to host the first and even second rounds here. We're going to have the first round again. So we're going to have USA, we're going to have Canada, we're going to have Mexico. It's great, but this is a mecca for baseball. We've got spring training, we've got fall league, we've got all the complexes out here that they'll have summer league. We've got ASU baseball, GCU baseball. There's so much going on. You may think it's competition. I see it as complementary. There's a desire to watch baseball, and there's no better place than right here with your family. It's the family sport, and I think it'd be wise to invest in baseball in this market. The All-Star game, we talked about $70 million just from that All-Star game. People are staying in the hotels, they're eating in the restaurants. You look at, for example, light rail on a Friday, Saturday night, we're the highest volume because of our games here.
A lot of people I find around the country are deadened once they hear economic impact numbers because they say, what does that mean? But when you see the Carey School talk about $700 million to $1 billion of annual impact, well, the reason is because you have all of these people coming into a town and staying for 5 days instead of 2, and going to events and bringing their family instead of just one. So there's a story to put behind it.
Exactly right. Yeah, there is so much tremendous economic impact. If we're close to $1 billion a year, which I obviously know those numbers, the All-Star game, we talked about $70 million just from that All-Star game. People are staying in the hotels, they're eating in the restaurants. You look at, for example, light rail on a Friday, Saturday night, we're the highest volume because of our games here. We bring the most activity, the most bodies here for all of our games, more than any other activity or event taking place downtown. And I'm so proud of that. Yeah. The city knows it, the state knows it. We love contributing the way we have. So you feel like an important part of this community.
A few other pieces relative to the house and what it means. Legends Entertainment District, talk about that.
Legends is a collaboration between the City of Phoenix, the Phoenix Suns, and us. And so we were going to create as much of a Times Square as we could and really light up downtown and energize it as best we can, which we've done. So now we have a lot of signage. We're bringing in our community partners. We're bringing in our corporate partners, attaching the two of us with the garage in between, the parking garage that we both own. It's been a really nice partnership, and it's allowed us to make a little money for the city as well, and the two of us, so that we continue to just renovate and energize everything that's going on downtown. And now it's not just desert and streets and boring. It's lit up. It's exciting to watch. It's interactive. It's videos. It's billboards, and it's been nice to see.
Desert Street, boring, billboards, and gaming. You have the definitive Caesars right next to the building. Was there. Amazing facility. Talk about that.
It is, and we did it quickly as a state, and I really credit our governor, Doug Ducey, who was so smart that he attached it to the new gaming compact with all of the Native American tribes. And so the teams and the tribes were on board together. It was a brilliant way to go about it. And so, we have the licenses, and it's been a nice partnership with Caesars. We wanted to have a high-end name. We were thrilled that they were interested in us. It's been a nice partnership with that building that we took and converted it into obviously a sports book, but it's more than that. It's a great place for families to go and eat. Guy Fieri has his name on it and with the restaurant. It's an experience, and it's been nice to see. But the most important part about the gaming and why we were behind it, because for years it was taboo, as you know, especially in baseball, is it really has helped with the interactivity and the integration of gaming now keeps people wanting to go to your games, keeps people wanting to stay there, being able to bet right on the spot. It may be an 8-0 game. You're not just going to get up and leave because the game's over. You're still going to sit there because you're going to maybe make a wager responsibly on what's going to happen during that game. But I think it's been great for the interaction, and the fans are glued as a result. Our fan base was aging, but I think what we're doing now from a technology standpoint and finally marketing the game really well. We need our stars. We need our stars to market.
Is Major League Baseball staying young enough?
I think we're focused on getting younger. Yeah, so it was always an issue and a concern before. We knew that our fan base was aging, but I think what we're doing now from a technology standpoint and finally marketing the game really well. We need our stars. We need our stars to market, and the other sports have always done a nice job of that. I'm starting to see that, and we're also showing that it's trending down, which is very good, trending down as far as age goes, and that's also because of social media and the interaction there. It's everything that we're doing in the community, and just like I said, Rick, getting the kids to come here, they're watching, but giving them other ways to watch too. We know there's competition. They can't just, a lot of kids, I was the same way, I couldn't sit for 9 innings or extra innings and the entire game. Well now, kids can watch on their devices. They can watch at home on their computers. That's very important.